Welcome back, race fans, to tonight's edition of the Thursday Night Nitro Series presented by BoomTube. Thank you so much for joining us once again. As always, I'm Adam LeVox up here in the booth providing you the live action tonight here from Austin, Texas. Well, it's been quite the season so far for the Thursday Night Nitro Series. It's been Bennett Allen and that number 15 Ford on top of the heap for all three of the opening rounds of the season thus far. Going into round number 4 at COTA, I expect a bit of a toss-up between quite a few drivers here. We got a few road course ringers in the field today, including Allen, but definitely not discounting drivers like Alex Wiggins, Kyle Nadeau, Dalton Brewington, and others. I expect it to be quite the showdown here as we approach sunset at Circuit of the Americas. Taking a look at our points standings, obviously a little bit lopsided right now. Bennett Allen leads the field by quite a few points, nearly 40 points over Devin Maines in second place. Dusty Martin sitting P3 in the points right now, 45 points behind Allen. Alex Wiggins, P4. He is 48 points behind your leader and 54 points behind in fifth. We'll be taking a provisional this week, so will not be in the field as Crank Bell, driver the number 14. Max Bauman lost a few spots after last week, down 3 positions in the standings, sits 59 points behind the lead. Aaron Mack in P7 is up 2 after a strong week at Chicagoland last week. He sits 66 points back, followed by Steven Turner, who lost 2 spots at Chicagoland, is 70 points behind the leader. 2 points behind that is Zach Miller, driver the number 38, in 9th. Jevin Gentry rounds out the top 10 in points. Also down a couple spots after last week, sits 87 points behind championship lead. Notable gains last week, 3 positions gained in the points for Dalton Brewington. He sits P11, just outside that top 10. Also up 3 positions after last week at Chicagoland. Dalton Buckingham up 3 positions as well. Hunter Mathis, in his second outing at Chicagoland last week, is also up 3 positions after a strong showing for that number 22 machine. Randall Peasley down 6 positions in points last week. We expect him to be doing his best to recover this week. Drivers are out on track for qualifying. Actually, qualifying having just wrapped up. Let's go ahead and go down the running order, where we see some absolutely blistering fast times on the grid. Bringing that qualifying order up on your screen. On top of the heap, no surprise whatsoever. Bennett Allen leads with a 142.162, the fastest time we've seen all week. Just behind him with a 142.3 is Alex Wiggins. No surprise to see some speed out of that 11 at a road course. Remember, Alex and Kyle both went at it for the win last season at Lime Rock Park. And it's no surprise to see them sitting second and third in the qualifying results. Ryan Rose, the number 78, is a second and a half off pace, runs about a 43.6. Carlos Ramos making a return this week as well in that number 90 machine. 2.6 seconds off the pace. Starting P6 is going to be Aaron Mack in the 31. Zach Miller in the 38 rolls off P7 with Randall Peasley in the 63. P8. Devin Maines in the 5, a little bit lower in the order than we're used to seeing that 5 machine. He was going to roll off P9 tonight with Dalton Brewington in that number 7 for Team Highlands Racing. P10. Devin Gentry will start in 11th, Max Bauman 12th, and Dusty Martin rounds out our field in 13th. The drivers are just concluding the warm-up. We will be grading up and getting ready to go green here at Circuit of the Americas in just a moment. right, good to see some race fans back. I see you in the chat there, Justin. Dalton says he got kicked out of qualifying. Not sure what happened there. Gonna guess got a unfortunate DQ for going possibly backwards or rolling backwards on the track. Hopefully get you back in here. My timing and scoring still shows you on the board, so hopefully you're all right. All right, field getting ready to roll here at Circuit of the Americas. A beautiful sunset backdrop. Expect the track temperatures to be pretty cool. These cars are going to be as gripped up as they can be, but time will tell if that'll be enough for these drivers. Hopefully we have the light hang on just long enough. Looking pretty late in the afternoon. Here we go, drivers on track, getting ready to roll here at Circuit of the Americas. On pole, of course, is that number 15 of Bennett Allen with Alex Wiggins to the outside. Turn 1 should be interesting. It always is. Big uphill braking zone into a hairpin, very tight hairpin corner, around 130-degree corner. It will be something for these drivers to kick this thing off. We'll see how they do in just a moment. Tires, well, most of the drivers trying to keep these tires as cool as possible for the first couple laps, because overheating them will make them very slick at this racetrack with all the rubber that's down. Coming down to the green flag, here we go, racing at Circuit of the Americas. Green flag in the air for round number 4, the Thursday Night Nitro Series. Cars already scattering as they head down turn 1. Bennett Allen leads the way into the corner with Alex Wiggins trying to hang to the outside. It's going to be Kyle Nadeau to the inside behind them. clean so far through turn one. A few people took it a little wide just to be cautious, but right now it's side by side for third place between Nadeau and Rose. Down through the S's. Drivers allowed to keep 2 tires over that curbing. Not allowed to have all 4 tires over the curbing, but runoff is allowed. Is free to use anywhere else on the racetrack. Caution is out as we saw a spin right down there in the bottleneck as Aaron Mack in the 31 goes around. Some of these sharp corners, very hard to keep these cars under control. The back end wants to slide out. They want to wheel hop as the engine RPM decreases. It wants to bounce those rear tires. But let's go ahead and take a look back at that. We caught it out of the corner of the screen just a moment ago, but we'll go back and take a look at the incident. All right, keeping an eye right in your middle of the screen with the red and white number 31 will be the subject that we're looking at here. Hard under braking here. We see Brewington go to the inside. Maybe some contact. We'll keep an eye on this 7. Took the dive to the inside. Runs out of space. 31 turns down on the nose of the 7. A little bit of a spin. Doesn't look like either car should really have any damage. Let's keep an eye on... Oh, it looks like the 90 of Ramos got a good piece of the side of the 31. Continues to push. And a whole big stack up behind. You see front end damage to the 5 of Maine's. A little bit of damage to the rear end of Bauman's car as well. So, a bit of a struggle so far here on lap number 1. Thanks again to our Déjà Revél replay cam for providing the live action and keeping us informed throughout the course of our race. Everyone else trying to make it around the accident scene. Hopefully one of the rare cautions we'll see tonight. Once everyone gets spread out a little bit, it will be a local caution. So if a single car spins by themselves, we will not throw the caution. But just by merit of where that occurred on the racetrack and a choke point where there wasn't really any room to get around the 31 after this spin, our race control went ahead and threw that. And thanks to Justin for providing those services for us each and every week. Back under the control of the pace truck. We're looking to get things going once again here on this lap number 2. Drivers will be taking notes on how that start went, how the tires felt, how the track felt in the current temperature state. There is no sun remaining on the racetrack. Track conditions going to be rather cool. Air temperature around 83 degrees Fahrenheit. Track should be similar, if not a little bit cooler, as the Texas sun has gone down for the afternoon. These drivers up front will have taken notes. They're going to be looking for those opportunities. And now they've got a little glimpse into the playbook of the other drivers around them. What lines they're going to take through turn 1. All these drivers, fake out from the leaders. Some thought about coming down for fuel. Looks like some towards the rear will do so. Topping off the tanks on those race cars. Getting damage repairs where necessary. If you're further back in the field, you might as well give up that track position and fill the tank to the brim. It is a long 48 laps here at Circuit of the Americas. Drivers starting to filter through. Let's see Devin Gentry there in the 12 back with us this week. Good to see. Dusty Martin looks like he's going to fall to the rear of the field. Some of these drivers will take voluntary end-of-line penalties. They aren't feeling confident in the amount of practice they got and don't want to impede other drivers. Not sure it's saying that's the case, but we do see that from week to week. Looks like we got a new paint on the number 38 machine. Let's go ahead and check that out. Great Lakes Brewing Company there for Zach Miller. That chrome number shining pretty nicely under a fiery looking Texas sunset sky. Miller is teammates with that number 97, number 11 of Wiggins, as well as the 90 of Carlos Ramos. All right, getting back to going green. Hopefully very shortly as they come around the last few corners. Pace truck will peel off. Number 15, Bennett Allen's going to lead him down to the green flag yet again. All right. Mic levels are looking pretty normal on my end. Same levels as normal from what I can tell. Green flag in the air. 15 leads him down to the start. Second place, Wiggins goes wide for that turn one. The battle is behind. We see Brewington braking way deep. Gets in there to the inside of the 78 of Rose. Gonna have a hard time making it stick on the outside once they head down toward the S's. Rose taking a look to the inside of the 97. 97 goes defensive, wants that inside for the entry to the S's. Pretty narrow here. Definitely don't want to take this double file unless you absolutely have to. These drivers are going to have to watch those out-of-bounds regions on the racetrack. Through those S's. Deep braking down for everybody. So far, it's out front by quite a ways. A second lead now already for Bennett Allen, followed by Wiggins, Nadeau, Rose, and Brewington, your top five. Zach Miller doing pretty good back in 6th, already up a position or two. Dalton Brewington up 5 already. Devin Gentry up 4 since the beginning of the race. Wiggins and Allen, pretty comparable lap times throughout practice and qualifying. Looking for both these drivers to be in competition throughout the day, but man, is that 15 on rails. We'll see who's got the finesse to protect those tires throughout the course of the run, because this track is pretty slicked up with all the rubber that's been put down. We'll see if that affects the tire life at all, because these drivers will be slipping and sliding once those tires come up to temperature. We'll take a look at the pace that these drivers had as they come across the line this time. The 142.3 for Allen, a 143.4 for Wiggins. So Allen already setting a blistering pace since the restart. Wiggins trying to settle into a groove. Back here, Kyle Nadeau trying to fend off the 78 of Rose. Brian is running him down. We saw him take a couple looks on the first lap after the restart. Kyle's able to pull away a little bit, but I think that 78's reeling him back in little by little. Go ahead and take a little ride on board of the 78. You'll see what some of these drivers have to deal with. Tight clearances in some areas. That wall comes right out to you. Hard braking after this straight down to a tight hairpin corner. Ooh, it's number 97 of Nadeau goes a bit wide there. Hard on the braking, trying to be defensive as possible. After you overshoot the braking, those tires are hot and slick. It's kind of hard to get your bearings about you sometimes. After that happens, 78 of Rose to the inside. They're side by side coming out of the corner. Still side by side. Coming through the sweeping right-hander out of the arena section. Still side by side, heading down toward the final two corners. No runoff limitations here. Nadeau can go as wide as he needs to, and he does, and he clears for that spot again. This is exactly what Brewington wants to see. The more these two hold each other out, the more he's able to close in on this battle in that number 7 Mustang. Bit of moment there for him as well. Saw him pretty loose coming out of the final corner. It's like maybe an off track, because we saw some gravel deposited on the racetrack back off that final corner. Dalton Brewington, great braking on the inside. Unfortunately, just slides it through the turn. A little bit of contact with the 78. He's going to have to back off and hit the reset button on that pass attempt. Up front, Bennett Allen leads Alex Wiggins by 2.5 seconds now. Wiggins trying to sort things out and hang in there. Last time by, down to a 43.1 lap, but the 15 is running 42.3s pretty consistently. It's going to be hard to keep up with that pace. We'll see if the 15 can hang on to the tire life on that race car as well. Setting those kinds of times definitely takes a bit of a toll on the tires, but we've seen it before, especially at the short tracks like USA International for round 2. He seems to have the magic touch when it comes to preserving the tires on these race cars. Back here, it's still a dogfight for that third spot. Ryan Rose gets around Kyle Nadeau for that spot. Move Nadeau back down to 4th. Dalton Brewington looking for another spot. He's hungry back in 5th. His teammate, Max Baumann, coming through in 6th spot. Up 6 spots from the beginning of the race in that number 89. Max Baumann, bit of a road race. It looks like having a little bit of an internet connection at the time, but that's all right. Should sort itself out shortly. See the times starting to fall for this number 89, starting to get on pace with the drivers ahead. 45.82, that puts him faster than 3rd, 4th, and 5th place at the current moment in time. So time starting to drop for this 89 as he gets this track figured out. Starts to pick up the pace. A little bit wide there through turn 1. Keeps it on the racetrack, though. 12, Devin Gentry still up 4 spots. He sits in the 7th spot right now with Carlos Ramos having a bit of a problem after that contact with the 31 after the spin. Front of that race car looks all right. Times are going down quite rapidly for Carlos as well, down in the mid 46 second range. So definitely picking up some time on the cars ahead as well. A bit of a yellow flag there for Max Baumann. I think he lost some ground to the 12. Possibly a little bit of an off track or a slide. Brewington still doing all he can to run down that number 97. Both drivers, I've seen some sliding out of those rear tires on the 97 and the 7. Maybe a little too much heat, a little too much push early on for these two drivers. Bennett Allen out to a 4-second lead now. I see rears on that car getting heated up a little bit as well. I see a slide coming out of the final corner. Allen finally falling down into the 43-second range. A 43.1 for Allen, a 43.6 for Wiggins. We'll see if those times continue to stabilize between these two drivers. It's a game of small mistakes when it comes to road courses like this. One small miscalculation through the S's like this, it can throw off the rhythm of the entire lap, and those time losses can add up pretty quickly if you're not careful. Looking really clean there through the turn 6 complex after the tires stack there. Down the back straight, hard on the braking zone. Wiggins good at maximizing every bit of the racetrack. So using all that runoff that's granted to these drivers with the NASCAR rule set. The only place you have to stick between the lines is between the S's. We're going to take a ride on board for a whole lap with the number 15 here. next time by. A sprawling complex is the Circuit of the Americas. Coming around that final corner, getting ready to hit another lap. Let's get on board with this number 15 Mustang of Allen and see just what it takes to get around this circuit. Down to turn 1, hard on the brakes. Being careful not to lock up those tires, as he does a little bit through turn 1. Call it commentator's curse if you will. A little bit of a lockup there for the 15. Down to turn 2, into the S's. Very ginger on the throttle there. Easy to get loose. Taking as much of these curbs as possible without crossing all 4 tires over that curb. You can have 2 tires over, but not all 4. From here on out, hard brakes. There is no runoff limitation or no track limits from here out on the racetrack. Use as much runoff as you want here. Down to the 100 board, hard on the brakes again for this hairpin. Using the runoff on the exit. Hard down into second gear. Allen actually staying in second gear through the stadium complex. Be careful not to spin those tires. A little bit of time can be found in first gear, but you definitely risk the tire life as well. So most of these drivers are going to elect to stay in second gear throughout most of the racetrack. Caution is out for the second time here on lap number 9. It looks like the 12, Devin Gentry, the subject of this accident. We'll go ahead and take a look at our Déjà Revél replay cam. Taking a look at the number 12. Let's see if we can figure out what happened that drew the caution. I would assume more than one car involved, or some kind of track blockage right down here into this type complex. Just too hard on the throttle. Gets it back going. Still haven't seen the purpose of the caution yet. Looking at the number 38 now. We have a couple cars that were showing as having trouble this lap, so we'll go through them all and see if we can find out exactly who had the issue. Oh, it looks like Miller with a lot bigger accident. He's on the front straight looking for a way to turn around as most of the field's trying to make their way by. Looks like that will be the cause of the caution. One more. Look at the 35, Dusty Martin. We have a accident in the timing is scoring for the driver, the 35 as well. Expecting this just to be a single car incident, though. I believe just a bit of a slide and a slow moment for the 35. No harm, no foul. Gets it gathered up and keeps going. So it looks like the 38 will be the cause of this caution. Field going to get bunched back up. Quite a spread between everybody. It'll take a minute for the drivers to get lined back up behind our pace car. As they snake their way around for a pace lap here. Expect the drivers probably to take a little bit of fuel. Maybe some Goodyear tires here on this pit stop. Hasn't been a whole lot of laps, but it doesn't take a whole lot of laps for these tires to get hot and slick. It feels like you're driving on Vaseline out there sometimes. These drivers, I'm sure some will want the relief that 4 Goodyear tires provide. And if you're toward the rear of the field, you got nothing to lose. So you might as well come and take those tires and gain what you can on those leaders. Assuming they don't come, we'll see if we get another fake out from the 15. Ducking down toward pit lane. He is going to come, and he's going to take the rest of the field with him here on this pit cycle. 7, Dalton Brewington's going to elect to stay out for this one. some more interesting strategy out of the 7. We see some interesting calls just about every week out of the Alaskan driver. Looking to gain some track position. He's going to have to contend with some fresh Goodyear tires behind him after this pit stop. Tight battle off. We got the 15 and 97 leaning on each other as they come off a pit lane. Bennett Allen will come out just ahead. Both of them losing spots to the 11 of Wiggins and the 78 of Rose. So a bit of a shakeup toward the top of the field. Maybe some missed pit stalls for the 15 and 97. Got to be able to execute when it comes to entering those pit stalls. Those tires are awfully hot coming off the racetrack, so it is easy to slide through the box if you're not careful. Right here seems to be one of the most tricky sets of corners of the day. That 90-degree left that NASCAR has introduced for this season, throwing a bit of a wrench in the race so far. It's a tricky one to enter. You can't go too wide on the entry. There's a set of bumps if you go too far to the right before you turn in towards that tire stack. That will very much upset the race car, and I think that's probably what has claimed a couple drivers already and caused some self-spins throughout the course of this race so far. Nearing a quarter way through this race already. We say, well, we're only on lap 11. It doesn't seem like we should be a quarter way through already. It's only 48 laps here in this race. As we cross through lap 12, we will hit that quarter way mark. Maybe a bit of strategy play, trying to get those bonus points. Dalton Brewington will be leading this lap by virtue of staying out on the racetrack. See, Ramos will be starting to his outside with Wiggins and Rose making up row 2. All of the drivers behind them will have 4 fresh tires at their disposal. And I would not expect these top 2 to stay there long, but they've had time to cool these tires down. This will be a good experiment to see exactly what you can squeeze out of the tires after about 8 laps of green flag racing. Like we will be going around again as the field took a little bit longer time than anticipated. All right, rounding the final couple sets of corners. Now 3 turns left before we see the green flag once again this evening. Well, we'll go ahead and update you on the schedule a little bit. Next week will be Iowa Speedway, another short track on the schedule. Always delivering great racing. Tire wear will be quite intense there as well. We saw some great racing last season. Quite a few cautions. We'll see if they can maybe clean up the race a little bit this time around. But it should be good action no matter what. So stay tuned next week right back here on the Boom Tube for action at Iowa Speedway out in the cornfields. But for now, we're down in our hats and boots and getting ready to go back green here in Austin, Texas. And a big stack up as the 7 goes around and collects the 90. Caution will come out yet again. Don't think we really need to replay to see what happened there. You saw it live. 7 sends it too deep on the brakes, gets into the 90. It's like minimal damage on both race cars. Both will be able to continue. But that's going to grant the lead to the 78. So we won't figure out if old tires can hang on because the old tires have taken each other out. Looks like Wiggins might have got a piece of that as they spun. We'll take a look at the front end of that race car as he comes by. Yeah, definitely a little bit of a crease in the front end. Like pretty central in the front. All right, that restart might be under review. I'll have to see what happened on that restart. We'll go ahead and take a look at our replay cam once again. Go back here. We can rewind just a little bit from this point. Keeping an eye on the 7. We'll go ahead and point out that restart zone once we get there as well. All right, so herein lies the restart zone for this racetrack. that point to a little hard to discern exactly where that restart zone is. I'll have to let race control review this. Definitely saw a fire out of the 90 before the 7, who was supposed to be the lead car, and then the 7 just overcooks it into turn 1, as we saw before. We'll go ahead and rewind this yet again. We're going to go back live because I believe we're getting close. No, looks like we're going to wave around for another lap of caution, as like a couple more cars still on pit lane for service, and the field's still getting bunched up. Gives us a little more time to go do some detective work. Alright, as we're going to try to do, we're going to go on board with the 7. Actually, we might have a better view with the 90 to the outside. And we'll go ahead and rewind just a little bit, see if we can't figure out exactly where this restart zone is, usually denoted by some lines on the wall or on the track. From my understanding, the restart zone is actually through this corner. You see the first line here, towards the entry of pit lane. The second line here. Looks like the 90 waited for the leader to fire and eventually decided to go once the leader did not. But once again, we'll leave that for race control to sort out. Possible issues for the 89. Saw him hit pit road and now showing his out. Possibly some network issues once again. Looks like the 89 has disconnected. Saw those network issues earlier. I believe those may have resurfaced, but it's going to be 78 leading them to the start, firing off within the restart zone. Here they go, green flag in the air. Ryan with a nice start. The 15 is going to look to the inside. Ryan fades to the outside, locks it up, and spins through turn 1. Bennett Allen takes over the lead with Kyle Nadeau hot on his heels. And a whole gaggle of cars behind them. Peasley, Ramos, Mack, and more. Wiggins trying to work his way back up through here after the damage from the last restart. Allen out front. Rose loses 2 spots after the spin. Gathers it back up. His tires are going to be hot and probably not too happy with how they were treated going into turn 1. We'll see how that race car drives and if he's able to make up some of that ground. Behind them, it's Carlos trying to hold off Randall Peasley with a 11 coming through as well. Wiggins is going to follow through as the 63 goes wide. Move Wiggins back up to 5th spot. 31 car is a lap down. This is not for position on the 31. He's going to allow them to go by, no problem. Down to turn 1, it's Bennett Allen, followed by Nadeau and Rose. Rose starting to reel the 97 back in. Not making the same mistake twice coming through turn 1. Back behind them, it's battle for 4th spot, side by side. Wiggins and Ramos. Wiggins is going to go around through turn 2 and down through the S's. Carlos finally working his way back up to that top 5 after the early accident and then being taken out on that previous restart. Good looking line through here. Number 90's been picking up pace all day. We'll see if he can pick up a couple more spots before the end of the event. Dalton Brewington still yet to make a pit stop tonight on those original tires, even after the slide, trying to make up some positions here. Currently rides back in the 6th spot with Devin Gentry in 7th behind him. Peasley, not a great restart so far, dropping a few spots on wide on a few corners. It's hurting the, it's like the 63 having a hard time turn in. The front grip on that car looks like it might be lacking a little bit. If you slid the tires a couple too many times, overheats the fronts and takes a bit to recover from that. Let those front tires cool back down and get some of that grip back. Up here, the battle for 2nd, the closest on track. At the moment, it's Rose chasing Nadeau. First race back in the series for Ryan. We'll see if he can make it happen. He has caught the 97, gets alongside, down to the hairpin. It's tough to make it stick on the inside. Looks like Kyle's going to give him a little bit of room there. Surrender the spot for now. Not overcook anything. Not overdrive those tires on the race car. Thinking long term if this thing should go green. Don't look now, that 11 car is stalking them and catching quickly to the tune of about a half a second per lap on the cars directly in front of him. Last lap of 42.4 for Bennett Allen. This previous lap of 43.3 for Wiggins. Nadeau, who he's chasing, a 43.7 last time by. Wiggins driving the wheels off this race car, trying to get back up there. Has already clawed several spots back throughout the course of this green flag run after suffering that front damage. Nose of the race car looks clean and it has speed back in it. Definitely be wanting another caution at some point. Get some fresh rubber on this race car if he wants to do anything about that. Number 15, though. Ooh, big slide there. Moment for Kyle Nadeau in front of him. A bit of a tank slapper there. Coming around the tire stack for turn 6. Ooh, big slide there through the final corner for Nadeau. Going to lose a little bit of momentum to the 11. Meanwhile, Rose in front of them has found the pace and is pulling away from both of these drivers. Identical 1 minute 43.73 second laps for the leader, Bennett Allen, and second place, Ryan Rose, last lap. Nadeau just running his fastest lap of the race so far, 44.6 for the driver of the 97. That's not going to be enough to hold off the hard-charging 11 of Wiggins. He goes a little bit wide, opens the door for Wiggins. Wiggins is going to slide through for the 3rd spot. Moving back up very quickly is driver number 11 up to 3rd spot and closing. Meanwhile, the 2 drivers ahead swapping times back and forth. Rose is putting down some heater laps. We'll see how evenly matched the top 2 are as they come across the line this time. That gap staying pretty consistent, gaining a little bit through this section is Rose, using every inch of racetrack that the rules will allow him to use. Slower lap that time, a 45-second lap for Ryan Rose. Maybe overheating those Goodyear Eagle tires just a little bit. Lost 0.3 of a second in the final part of the lap. 43.3 last time for Bennett Allen. Jumping back to Brewington in 6th. Remember, still on those original tires. Is going to probably have to pit for fuel before too long, I would have to imagine. The 18-gallon fuel cell in these NASCAR Xfinity race cars doesn't last quite as long as you might expect out of a GT3 race car or similar. I tell you who's not happy to see him. It's going to be the number 90 there after being cleaned out in turn 1. Brewington might want to mind his manners trying to navigate around this driver. This is for a top 5 spot, though. Brewington knows he needs to make a bit of a recovery. He's got the pace, but does he have the tires and fuel? He is sliding every corner with this race car, and those completely worn and battered tires. Trying to make something happen with this 90. Two very different driving approaches. Calm, cool, and collected for the 90. You see, the 7 of Brewington looks like he's almost drifting through every corner. Still maintaining similar pace between the both of them. Ooh, slide there for the 90. That's going to open up the door for the 7. Will he overbrake into turn 1? Well, the 90's able to claw back the speed on those fresher tires. I think the 7 is to the point in tire wear where he's spinning even in second gear coming out of that final corner. Giving it all that car has to try to hang on to some track position, but unfortunately, I don't know how long that's going to be doable with the state of the tire wear. It's been 22 laps on these tires. Every other car came down lap 10 or later, about half the field on lap 14. So more than twice the age on those tires for the 7. Gets into the fence this time. Sliding back up front with Wiggins. He is putting some times down now. 44.4 last time. That's a half a second quicker than the 45-second lap of Ryan Rose in front of him. Rose finally starting to feel the sting of those old tires. Maybe overdrove that 78 a little bit. Told you that 11 might be pretty good at saving tires. He has a way of doing that as well. Don't see too many slides or bobbles out of the 11 car. Pretty tame as far as throttle application and braking, but it seems to pay off in the long run. He's still maintaining good lap times, right on par with the leader. 44.25 last time for Bennett Allen, a 44.3 for Wiggins, so only 0.05 of a second off lap time-wise last time by. Ooh, big bobble there. Going wide is the 78. Opens the door for Wiggins, but then quickly shuts it just as quickly. Now they're side by side down the backstretch, heading toward the braking zone. Wiggins doesn't want to chance it. He's hoping to maybe get in the head of Ryan Rose in the 78. Takes the look inside, then slides back in line. 11 car still trying to find any way around. He wants to get this over with quickly. He doesn't want to have to burn too much tire. Getting around the 78 and burning too much lap time. All these drivers are battling. They're running about 45.5 second, 1 minute 45.5 second laps compared to the 44 flats that the leader is still running. The leader's putting about a second per lap on them while this battle continues. Not to mention number 97 Nadeau starting to creep back into the picture. You see that blue Chevrolet behind them. Probably very eagerly hoping these two keep battling for the next few laps. Sliding for both drivers, one of the hardest parts of the track to get the power down through the tires to the track is that turn 1 being very slow, and the crest of a hill. The back end of the race car gets really light through that section. It makes it really hard to get any traction without just burning the rear tires off of the race car. These two very, very even, just unable to find a spot to go for a pass. Back down to the hairpin. Wiggins going to use that runoff and get to the outside this time. Set himself up for the stadium section. Can he make it stick through here? 78's going to have the advantage with that extra runoff to the outside. Maybe look for a crossover here. Wide entry there. No. Rose is going to play defensive. Says, no, I'm going to slow it down and make sure you can't stick it back to the inside and make that crossover stick. Going to have the advantage on the outside again, able to wind that car out a little bit more. He's going to, if he can make it stick, he's going to have the advantage for the next corner. Next two corners, actually. But Wiggins with the runoff, he can get the power down sooner. He's going to make the pass. What a pass on the outside. Makes it happen quickly and decisively. Alex Wiggins up to P2. Rose is burning the rear tires off of this race car, trying to claw that spot back, but it's already a second advantage for the 11 after that slide. Look there, we told you he's creeping back into picture. Nadeau has shaved 2 seconds off of that gap to the 78 through that 3 laps of battle between the 11 and the 78. 11 is looking to hot lap now, put down as fast of times as possible. Looking really tidy through the S's. Now down toward the tire stack. This double set of 90-degree lefts that lead us down onto the back straightaway. Let's watch that gap. 13.5 the seconds the gap to Bennett Allen right now. Beginning to fall slightly now that Wiggins is clear of traffic. Zach Miller looking for a way to get back on racetrack. Self-spin for him. Taking a look back behind them. 97 to 78. Closing in within a second now. 0.8 of a second the gap. Lead gap still holding steady at 13.5, 13.6 range. Rose going to hit pit lane. Possibly thinking he can make it to the end. They're going to put some fresh tires and fuel in this race car. They'll be looking to make up some ground on Allen. Will this force the 15's hand to come a little bit early to make that pit stop? He knows that 78 has pace and can make up potentially 2 seconds a lap at the pace they're going right now. Last lap by was a 45.3 for driver number 15. We've seen 43-second laps out of the 78. So he stands to gain quite a bit on fresh Goodyear tires. How much of that lead is Allen willing to sacrifice before he comes and makes that pit stop for the final time? Potentially. Officially past the halfway point of this race. Gap 13.8 to the leader now. Bennett Allen looking to make it 4 in a row to start the season across every type of racetrack. The super speedway of Daytona, the short track of USA International, the intermediate of Chicagoland, and potentially the road course here at Circuit of the Americas to start off the season. Wiggins definitely going to be wanting a bit of a comeback, maybe a caution to even things out, having to start so far back in the field after that damage from the caution a couple restarts ago. He had to burn a lot of that tire life up trying to claw his way back through the field. Now starting to feel that in the tires, not able to get the lap times down, maybe that he's capable of. Although these times are closing in. He was within 1/10 of the leader last lap. 45.1 for Bennett Allen, 45.23 for Wiggins. See certain sectors of the racetrack, especially here through the stadium section, you see Wiggins pick up a little bit every time, about 1/10 of a second through this sector of the racetrack. About 1/10 and a half this time by. Kyle Nadeau, another 5 seconds back from third place, with Rose still hanging on to fourth place after, with a big slide coming through the gravel there. Looks like somebody had an off track and potentially brought some debris onto the racetrack. Lap times starting to flip. You notice that interval to the leader, now 13.4 seconds down from 13.6 seconds last time by. Last lap for Alex Wiggins, a 145 flat compared to a 145.5 for Bennett Allen. Half a second gained last lap for Wiggins. With 20 laps remaining in this race, he's going to have to be nearly perfect to the end. I wonder if he doesn't try to undercut in the pits. If he stopped to take tires and fuel right now, kind of taking that long shot, trying to make up some ground. If he's able to pit right now, he could potentially make up quite a bit of ground on fresh rubber. Because remember, the times they're running, Alex Wiggins, a best time on fresh tires of 43.1, so 2 4/10 of a second faster than Bennett Allen's last lap. But who's going to pull the trigger first? Who's going to hit pit lane? All drivers should be able to make it to the end on fuel at this point. Does he give up the ground? Or do they try to stretch it to the end, hang on to that track position? Jumping back a little bit, Carlos Ramos has come in for a pit stop 2 laps ago. It's going to drop down to P7. Brewington has yet to pit, still staying out on the racetrack, hanging on to the top 5. Has taken no tires this entire race. Running quite a few seconds off the leader at this point, 48.6. Will have to come for fuel. Gap continues to close for Wiggins, but the time is also closing down. Lap 31 of 48, Wiggins has drawn up to 11.7 seconds back. Sorry, 12 seconds back now. Oh, Wiggins contact with the fence. We got to go back and take a look at this. I believe we missed something semi-crucial here. Going back to our Déjà Revél replay cam. Taking a look back in to the double 90 section here before the back straight. Looks like the steering broken on the 11 car. Crab walking out of the corner. Overcooked it. Just a mistake is going to take the 11 out of contention. Momentary mistake, hits the wall with the right front. It looks like feeling normal here, but once he gets on the straight, definitely looks like the car is wanting to pull hard right and is not stable under braking at all. I think he may have knocked the toe out of the right front of that race car. At this point, I think he might just have to stick it out with only 15 laps remaining. Let's see if those times improve. Looking a little more stable now, but front end of that 11 is definitely hurt. Kyle Nadeau, 8.5 seconds back from Wiggins. Will he be able to close that gap before the finish? It's going to be a tall order. Looks like maybe serviceable. Last lap time was a 47.6 for the 11 car, so about 2 seconds off the previous lap. We'll keep an eye on the progress of the 11 this lap and see if that time begins to stabilize. Kyle Nadeau shaved another second off that gap, now down to 7 seconds to the 11 of Wiggins. Dalton Brewington finally coming in for fuel and tires on the number 7 machine, looking to make up some ground after that stop. Fastest lap last time by was a 45.2 out of the 78 compared to a 46.2 for your leader, Bennett Allen. So driver 78 has figured something out here in the late going as these tires have began to fade. The gap to Nadeau, though, 26 seconds without some kind of intervention or a caution. I don't think that position will change. Wiggins continuing to fall back about a half second per lap at this point. Now to a 15-second gap behind Bennett Allen. Like the front end performance, maybe a little bit of aerodynamic issues down the straightaways, hampering the comeback for the 11. Had gained so many seconds on the leader. Now things starting to fall apart in the late stages. Concentrating on staying ahead of that number 97 of Nadeau. Still a 7-second gap separating the two. Nadeau still turning faster laps than the leaders, though. 45.8 last time, 46.7 for Alex Wiggins. So time continues to fall from the gap between second and third place. Wiggins going to come down to pit lane and get some repairs on the number 11. Unfortunate turn of events for the driver who had shown so much speed throughout the day. Should not lose too many places on this pit stop, however, with such a large gap back to about 4th place. Still has about 40 seconds back to Ryan Rose. Another 40 seconds back to Carlos Ramos as well. So should safely be within the top 5. In and back out of pit lane is the number 11. Actually coming in right behind Ryan Rose. Let's see if he can make up that spot and claw one of these positions back as Nadeau takes over the 2nd spot. 24 seconds behind the leader. Ooh, still maybe some suspension damage for the 11. That thing really wants to pull hard right under braking. Going to suffer through it, though. Expect that 11 car to have some fresh tires compared to the 78. Showing about the same pit lane time as the rest of the drivers the last time they came down for 4 tires, so he should have some fresh Goodyear rubber on this car, and he's going to make it work and fight through the damage. Wiggins back up to P3, putting Rose down a spot. Bennett Allen coming into pit. Looks like 4 tires and fuel for the 15 as well. Looks like all the drivers who came in lap 10 are going to have to pit one more time, and Nadeau being among them. Will anyone roll the dice and take fuel only? Just a splash to the end. Closing in on 10 laps to go. I think most of the drivers, that is a long time to stay out on tires, as Dalton Brewington found out the hard way. Take a look back at Devin Maines. He's clawed his way back pretty well from that very severe damage earlier. The back end of that 5 still not looking great, but he has fought his way through the adversity back up to P7, up 2 spots from where he started this race. He is salvaging the best he can out of an injured number 5 U.S. Army esports machine. Devin, of course, one of our sponsors. Sponsor of our team championship for the season. Via Devin Maines Designs, DMD. You see that logo on the rear C pillar of these race cars. As well as the rear wing of the ones that he has designed for this league. If you are an iRacer and are interested in recruiting the services of Devin, making nice looking race cars such as the one he's driving today, go ahead and look him up on socials, send him a message. Look him up on Trading Paints to see some of the nice paints he's already done, and use code TNN for 20% off your paint, and some of that revenue from that sale will also go toward the pot for these drivers for this season. Well, thanks to Devin for being one of our sponsors on board. Currently under fire from the leaders. About to possibly go a second lap down, fighting to stay on the lap, but just has nothing for the fresh tires on the 15. Max Bauman sticking it out on track. Number 89 currently shown 11 laps down after what I assume was connection issues early. It's able to get things stabilized and back out on track. Up front, Kyle Nadeau still out on the racetrack. One of only a handful of drivers yet to pit. Everyone behind him has fuel, has tires, and they are making up ground on those fresh Goodyear Eagles. Nadeau maybe saving fuel. Last lap was a mid-47 second lap. We had seen 45s just less than 5 laps ago out of this 97 car. Maybe a bit of fuel saving. Maybe trying to stretch this thing to the end. Bypasses his teammate, Zach Miller in the 38 through turn 1. Now down toward the S's for the Lowe's Chevrolet. Bennett Allen closing 1 second behind now. Fresh Goodyear rubber on that Ford Mustang. At this point, Nadeau is a sitting duck. Closing in on 10 laps to go. 11.5 as it stands now, nearly 3/4 of the way through this race. Sorry, we are 3/4 of the way through this race as of this lap. Bennett Allen handily makes the pass on Kyle Nadeau for that spot. Wiggins also came in a lap before. We wondered when Allen would come after he pitted. It only took him 1 additional lap. He did not want to lose time to the 11. Wiggins still fighting an injured race car, even with the fresh rubber on this car, only able to manage around a 45-second lap, where we had expected 43 seconds with fresh tires before, and currently seeing 42-second laps out of Bennett Allen in the lead. So still fighting, as you see the car bobbling back and forth. Still fighting some handling issues as a result of the damage, but still maintains P3 with a 12-second gap to Ryan Rose. That's the driver he's looking to hold off. Rose with older tires, having come on lap 25, splitting this race halfway. Rose on very old tires at this point. He's going to be feeling the effects of that, running about 47.5-second laps. As is Kyle Nadeau. 47.5 the last lap. 44.6. Wiggins still managing to figure out what that damaged race car wants and how to overcome the handling problems. At a 44.6 last time by. So nearly 3 seconds per lap. The difference between the 11 and the 97 now, with 15 seconds the gap between second and third place. Shout out, taking a look at chat. Kenny, good to see you. Shame we haven't seen you this season. Let's take a look back down our running order. Of course, Bennett Allen on top. Kyle Nadeau runs second. Alex Wiggins hanging on to third place, trying to maybe close that gap for second. Still running around 2 seconds quicker per lap than the 97, so that will be a close battle to the finish. Ryan Rose hangs out P4 currently. Carlos Ramos P5. Dalton Brewington trying to run him down. This is for position as we come through the field. We'll stop here for just a moment and look at this battle. 7 slipping and sliding all over the place, as we've seen him do so many times before. Has 3 lap fresher tires than Ramos, but man, is he using every bit of them. I have to imagine they are on fire at this point, as they're both being approached by the leader, Bennett Allen, behind. Should be a pretty even fight between the 7 and the 90, and 7 loses out a little bit through that sector, using every bit of the racetrack here as to come down toward the final corner. Big slide out of Bennett Allen there out of the final corner. Dalton is going to defend the inside. He doesn't want to give up any time to the leader here. Wanting to keep that gap as close as possible to the 90. Some of these drivers hanging on for dear life. It looks like the running a race control, the 90 and the 7 both on the cusp of potentially having to serve a drive-through for too many off tracks. So these drivers going to be dancing on the edge of possibly overstepping that line and having to serve a drive-through penalty. The 12 car, Devin Gentry, back in 9th spot, up a couple spots from the start of the race, is the only driver so far that has not had a single incident point. And we'll get the 2 bonus points for that, should he be able to hang on to that for the remainder of the race. So all the cars on drive-through penalty watch for too many off tracks or incidents overall. The 90, the 78, the 7, and the 63. So keep an eye on those drivers potentially having to serve a drive-through. Looks like Randall Peasley may have just received one as we see him come in and off of pit lane here on lap number 38. But Devin Gentry looking to get that bonus if he can keep it clean for the next few laps. Devin also a sponsor of the season with Sugar Maple Designs, providing several autographed die casts to give away throughout this season. We'll be looking for the next race that will be given away at. We'll announce when we have more information on that. A couple of those will be reserved for the championship winner, as well as a couple of the other top championship contenders in the end of the season, which as of the conclusion of this race will be 1/4 of the way through the season. Race 4, closing that chapter on a 12-race season. First 9 races of the season will be the regular season, at which point the top 6 will be separated from the rest of the field in points, and those 6 will contend for the final 3 races to decide who is the championship for the 2025 fall season for the Thursday Night Nitro series. Back up front, Allen shows the way by 17.4 seconds over Kyle Nadeau. Nadeau still enjoying a pretty sizable gap to Wiggins. The advantage for Wiggins has began to shrink, now only about a second faster per lap. As those tires start to get worn in, the handling on this car begins to fade. Sorry, not 19 seconds of gap. The gap is 9 seconds to Kyle Nadeau currently. We'll keep an eye on that. That will be very close to the end. A 9-second gap, about a 1.5 seconds faster per lap, and just 6.5 laps to go on the board. This will be a fight between the teammates at the end, but who will be able to come out on top? I have to imagine Kyle's going to fight for all he can muster to keep the 11 at bay, but the 11 has to be flawless and has to be able to overcome the handling issues. Wow, as you see, just all over the place under braking for the 11. That thing is not happy. As long as all four wheels stay on this 11 car, I think you should be all right. Brewington trying to make his way by Ramos. They're side by side coming through the final couple corners. Oh, nearly an accident between the two. This has been a scrap the whole race. These two drivers have to be about sick of each other at this point, especially after the wreck in turn one about half a race ago. 90 goes way wide. That's going to give the spot to the 7 for now, but as we've seen a couple times, this battle just does not seem to end. They have swapped positions many times, and they just seem to be just mistake prone enough to give the spot back shortly after you see a massive tank slapper out of the 7. That's going to let the 90 close right back up again. Two very aggressive drivers, as we've seen in past seasons. Probably two of the most aggressive drivers in the field, absolutely going at it for this 5th spot, trying to hang on to that top 5. A little bit of gap now for Brewington, but can he keep a cool head and keep this thing on the track? Remember, both these drivers on penalty watch as well, so another incident, another off track or two, and they will have to serve a drive-through penalty. They are on the cusp of potentially having to do so. Oh, and we see it. Black flag from race control for the 7 of Brewington as he makes the pass. Has gotten that penalty. You see alongside his name on the leaderboard. Will be shown the black flag. Will have to serve that pass through this time by. All right, this battle continues. Well, actually, this battle's over. The 7's going to have to come through and serve a pass-through for too many incident points this time by. But back up front, the 11 car is closing on the 97. The 97 now in sight. massive gain for Alex Wiggins down in the braking zone to turn 1. The 97 trying to hang on with those old tires. Last came in for for tires and fuel on lap number 10, trying to stretch this thing to the end. Trying to conserve fuel and tires at the same time. I don't know if he's going to be able to hang on with just 3.5 laps remaining. Old tires versus a crippled car with fresh tires. That is the battle for second right now between the teammates for Great Lakes Racing. Like 11 with the advantage in the braking zones through the long, sweeping, faster corners, and 97 with the advantage. In this view, you can definitely see the toe-out condition on the right-hand side of the 11 from this view. Turning hard left, that right front tire doesn't turn quite as much as the left does. See that? Tire is still largely straight when the left front tire is turned about 45 degrees. Ryan Rose comes into pit with just 3 laps remaining from the 4th position with a sizable gap. Looks about close to a lap over Carlos Ramos in 5th. You're short shifting out of the 97, trying to keep the rears underneath the car, trying to save as much fuel as possible. The 11 has closed the gap. He is on the rear decklet of Kyle Nadeau for the spot. Wide corner there for Kyle Nadeau is going to open the door, but he's going to be at the advantage for the next set of corners. Defending that inside, not letting the crossover happen. Oh, slides the tires. That's going to be huge for Nadeau. Wiggins goes sailing by, just buzzing the tires one time has put Nadeau back to 3rd spot. Wiggins up to 2nd in the crippled number 11. The gap 30 seconds ahead to Bennett Allen, who has been dominating the entire day, has led all but a handful of laps. Once again, has 2 more laps to go to claim his 4th race out of 4 races so far in this season of the Thursday Night Nitro Series. The unstoppable force went from being out after a wrecking incident on the last lap that had him on the sidelines for the remainder of the season last season to absolute domination here in the first races of this season. Seeing a big change in approach, a big change in racecraft, and a big change in success for the number 15. As he looks to make it 4 in a row for the fall 24-25 season. Taking a look back here, Ryan Rose, after pitting, is going to fall behind the 12 of Devin Gentry. So move Gentry up another spot, up to P7 so far in the day. As we close in on the final lap, 1 lap to go here at Circuit of the Americas. It's been a long and grueling race for these drivers. Their arms are probably ready to fall off after 48 long, tiring laps of wrestling heavy, overpowered, slick-tired stock cars around the tight twists and turns here in Austin, Texas. But they have endured the day so far, and will be Bennett Allen, who is right behind these two drivers. Going to make his way through here on the last lap. Half a lap to go for driver 15. Wiggins is well clear of Kyle Nadeau by about 4 seconds. That battle is all but settled. Dalton Brewington, after the pass-through, will have to settle for that 5th spot quite a ways behind Carlos Ramos. Out of the arena section and through the final corner, Bennett Allen comes through to claim win number 4 at Circuit of the Americas. In dominating fashion, once again, has proved to be an unstoppable force. And it's better luck next time to the rest of the field. Alex Wiggins comes home 2nd place, nursing this crippled number 11 through to the finish. Kyle Nadeau, his teammate, will come through P3. Carlos Ramos finishes out a 2-3-4 finish for Great Lakes Racing in the number 90. Dalton Brewington brings the THR number 7 home, P5, carrying the team on a day where Max Bauman suffered some connection issues and is relegated back to P12. Devin Maines has hung on with an injured race car as well. Problems early on in the race to come home P6. Devin Gentry P7. Randall Peasley P8. Ryan Rose down to P9. It looks like he has disconnected. Dusty Martin P10. And Zach Miller P11. Take a brief intermission while we get the drivers together for the interview portion of our broadcast. Hang tight just for a moment, and we will be right back to hear from our top 3 finishers. All right, quick update from the 78. Doesn't look like a disconnect. It looks like a bad downshift for the 78 while coming in to serve a black flag penalty. Had a bad shift down into the pits and unfortunately blew the engine on the 78, which retired it for the last couple laps of the race. Just an update on that situation as we get ready for our interviews. Looks like our drivers have congregated in the green room, so we will go ahead and bring in the first of our top 3 finishers. Kyle Nadeau brought that Lowe's Chevrolet home third place in a long and grueling race here at Circuit of the Americas. I'm sure his arms are just about ready to fall off, and he's probably gotten probably swole arms by this point. That was a good arm workout. What do you think there, Kyle?
Yeah, that was yeah, that was intense. And I think I ended up with like 12x, yeah, 13x's, so it was 5 away from getting a drive-through penalty. So yeah, I'm glad to leave this track. It's not one of my favorites.
Well, that considered, you still had a pretty solid day. Brought it home P3, taking an alternate strategy that nobody else was quite daring enough to try. Saving just enough fuel and having nearly no tire life left. I had to wonder what the condition of those tires were at the end of the race. But you hung on with fuel. How much did you have coming to the line?
I had point 0.4,
Wow.
and my tires, my right front was 66, my right rear was 76. So
That
there was nothing left.
that is not a fun condition. It sounds like a lot, but when you're trying to thrash one of these race cars around a track that's got turns this tight, it is not a fun condition to have your tires in. But yeah, cut it by the skin of your teeth there. Point 0.4 left is very, very close, especially at a longer road course. But you made it happen. We saw some good pace out of you early, but it turned out to be strategy that came through for you. In the end, we saw quite a few varying strategies, but unfortunately, a lot of those were toppled for other drivers by incident point issues and restart issues, what have you. But it looked like you kept the 97 pretty clean out there today.
Yeah, tried to. Once it's a very technical course once you get past the S's where you can pass. So yeah, whenever anybody had a run on me, I was like, just let them go and let them burn up their tires and pass them back later on. Yeah, the fuel saving strategy actually kind of just came into play right after that second caution. I looked down and I'm like, oh, well, I'm not as fast as Alex or Bennett with my pace. I could make it. So as my tires wore, my pace kind of just dropped and dropped and dropped. And yeah, and what was that caution? Was it 30 something on a tank of fuel? So probably 32, 33 laps. Yeah, it was a handful.
Yeah, quite a few laps to the end there. It looks like you came in at lap 10, so you would have run about a full 38 laps on a tank of fuel, which is
Wow.
pretty
Jeez.
crazy. Uh, but yeah, great strategy call there. Being aware of your situation, that's what makes you in particular. We've seen that out of you quite a few times. Being able to change the plan on the fly has come through for you in quite a few scenarios, and once again it did. And you got looks like a 2-3-4 finish for Great Lakes Racing.
That's all it is right now. I missed the first 2 races, so just trying to get as many points as I could. I led a lap, so that's an extra bonus point. Yeah, it's just trying to get into the top 6 now.
All right, he's got the goal in mind, and he's doing what it takes to make it happen. So I'll go ahead and give you the floor for a minute, Kyle. If there's anyone you'd like to shout out before we wrap it up for tonight.
Of course, like you. I'd like to thank you, Adam, for doing the broadcast and everyone else out there watching it. Say hello to my parents. I love you guys and my girlfriend. And I think she was watching a little bit. Um, Alex and um, Zach and Carlos in the room with me for the entire race. That was it was helpful and insightful with stuff I was learning from Alex. Everybody else out there racing. What am I missing? Oh, there we go. And I want to thank DMD Designs and Déjà Revél. And I think I got everybody. Oh, and yep, in the boom tube. Yeah, I'm a little bit out of practice, so
That's
it was a
all
long
good.
race.
It is a long race, so we'll go ahead and let you go recoup the mind and body, and get ready for Iowa next week. That'll be a great race. It was last season. It usually proves to be exciting in one way or another. It tends to be our highest caution race every season, but we'll see how it works out this season in the Xfinity cars. I'm sure they'll be just as loose and out of control as ever, so I'm kind of excited to see what happens there. And yeah, wish you good
I
luck.
love
And
Iowa.
Yeah, a lot of people do, and I think that's why we get in so much trouble. There's a lot of people who think they're just the best there, and heads collide, and it ends up being a mess, but it's an entertaining mess. So,
Yeah.
well, we'll let you go for the evening. Thanks for your time, and congrats on the solid strategy call that brought you home P3 for another podium here in our third season for Thursday Night Nitro.
Thanks. See you guys later.
All right, see you next week. That is your third place finisher, Kyle Nadeau, driver of the number 97 Lowe's Chevrolet. All right, next up, we will have our second place finisher, Mr. Alex Wiggins, driver of the number 11 U of M Chevrolet. Having to drive a crippled Chevrolet for the last few laps there. That thing did not look comfortable in the braking zones.
No, it was not fun. I was kind of scared when I got to Kyle because I couldn't even drive straight down the straightaway. But I brought it home, and I don't want to say one piece, but I brought it home alive. I'll say that.
All four tires stayed on it, so that counts.
What a mess. It was all over the place from the start. I felt like I had Bennett on a long run, and then he told me he was going to have to pit no matter what that last run, and I was able to make it on fuel if I wanted to, of course, if it hit the wall. So that dynamic would have been fun, but just didn't get to see it play out.
Yeah, we had wondered for a minute there how much you're going to try to undercut. Looks like you forced his hand because the lap after you came in, sure enough, he came in on lap 34. So you had a couple seconds gained there just by virtue of coming down to take those 4 fresh Goodyear tires first. But yeah, it's COTA's one of those racetracks. It definitely bites you. Just one mistake is all it takes. And but you fought through that and brought a crippled race car home second with some decent lap times. Still saw you in the 45s on several occasions there. Actually, I think I saw a high 44 out of that thing too. Somehow, it's all I can do just to get stay in the 44s with a complete race car. But so, congrats on the pace you somehow found with a right front toe that looked like you were pointing 2 different right directions in the corner. We were on the rear deck lid of Kyle as you were catching him, and your left front was turned about 45 degrees left, but the right front looked like it was still straight. So that was the condition of your car. So if you wondered why it was shooting to the right under braking,
yeah, it was.
That'll do it.
Awful.
But yeah, great day. Go ahead and give you the floor. I mean, great day for the team as well. It's 2, 3, and 4 for you, Kyle, and Carlos. So fortunately, Zach got the raw end of a couple incidents coming through the double 90-degree section for turn 6 and 7, which put him back in, I think, 10th or 11th. But still a good day for the team, good points haul, and I think that'll keep you guys on top, despite Bennett's best efforts of trying to carry turned around turbos by himself.
Unfortunately, yeah. It was fun from the start. I really wish we could have had it play out green to the finish from the start. I think that would have been fun, but Kyle was struggling, I was struggling, Bennett was lights out. I don't know how I was able to run the times I was, but it was a fun race. I know a lot of people didn't like the track, but I think that was just because it was really difficult. It was technical. I know you practiced a ton just for fun. It was probably one of the most technical road courses I've been to, but just a fun time. It was much needed, but just unfortunate.
Yeah, well, definitely a technical track. You survived and still brought it home P2, so congrats on a good day and on surviving a bit of a curveball for track choice. I saw you see you doing the burnout here on the broadcast at the end. You definitely deserved it after bringing that thing home, as crippled as it was. So, yeah, track choice by myself, so I claim responsibility for putting the vote in for the road course this season. So, you can all let me have it in Discord chat later.
Perfect.
But,
we know who to blame.
Yeah. But overall, I mean, good driving by everyone. That honestly went better than I expected. It looks like we did see a few people join in for practice, a couple sessions that were up, and some people definitely improved their road course racecraft, I think. So, I mean, next season, if we go back to something regular like a Watkins Glen or Sonoma or something, I expect to see everyone doing even better. If they can handle this, they can handle the other ones just fine. So, but yeah, I'll give you the floor for a minute. If there's anyone you'd like to thank or shout out here before we wrap up.
Just you, as per normal. It seems just everything that you do, the few practices that you said you hosted, you put all the effort into making all that happen. Zach, everybody else behind the scenes stuff, just fun to be able to come out here and have some fun.
All right, that'll be it for your second place finisher, bringing that number 11 U of M Chevrolet home P2 for another solid finish here. That should keep him pretty high atop the point standings. We'll have to see once the points come out in a couple days, but we'll update that as we get it in. So we'll say goodbye to you now for Alex, and congrats on P2.
Thank you.
All right, last but definitely not least, the unstoppable force. That is Bennett Allen. We'll go ahead and get driver number 15 up here in the broadcast booth with us.
Hey,
Well,
that's mean. I was eating a vanilla wafer as you pull me up.
well, it's commentator's curse, as always, one way or another. If I can't get you on the racetrack, I'll get you in the interviews. But another dominating day. Didn't quite lead all of them, but you led as close as you possibly could have and kept that thing out front. And you're losing a little bit to Alex there on that last run, but unfortunately he had one little mistake coming in next to the tire stack there in turn 6 and hit the right front and knocked the toe out of the thing. So pretty much let you run away with it for the end, but it was going to be a heck of a drive to try to challenge you anyways, running low 42s on fresh tires. You were definitely class of the field on the short run, no doubt. But you did what you had to all day and came out on top for the 4th win in a row. So how do you feel about that?
Well, 4 wins in a row is something I thought I'd never do in a league race. You know, when I joined Thursday Night Nitro, you know, I figured it'd be fun. It's fixed, so I had a better shot at winning, and I wasn't so setup dependent like my other leagues are. And you know, going to Daytona, I'm terrible at super speedways, and my luck at least is, and so I got that win, and then in USA I thought it was pretty fun, and then Chicagoland we got lucky, and then now it's my bread and butter, which is my favorite thing in the world, which is a road course, and I did what I had to do. So it was a lot of fun tonight. Alex, hats off to him, man. He had definitely had the speed to keep up with me. I was just a little bit faster short run, so I could get that gap. But before he hit the wall or whatever, he hit the wall, right? That's what happened, and like whatever weird corner the back corner is.
Yeah, he did. He hit it with the right front, just cooked it a little bit too hot in there and tagged the right front into the wall and bent the toe out.
Yeah, like before that, like he would catch me after about 10, 15 laps. He'd start catching me in 10th or so a lap. And I was fine with that because I built the gap up on purpose, but I just, in the slow speed corners, I just could not get the throttle down in second gear because I knew if I went full throttle right off the bat, even though I was at low revs, it was just going to light up the rear tires as it does. Um, you know, kind of wish we didn't have any yellows. There's a couple of yellows that were a question mark to me, but, you know, I'm not race control. I don't see everything. But I didn't even think about pitting that again on that last yellow. I was like, oh, everyone has to pit again, right? And they didn't. And Alex told me in the green room that if he didn't hit the wall, he would have won. So I guess the iRacing gods were looking out for me then to try to get my 4th in a row. But I underestimated how much I enjoyed NASCAR track limits at this track and the new layout. And holy crap, I could only race this for a month and I'd be happy. I really like it a lot. You can be really aggressive in the S's. You can be really aggressive on that like back hard left-hander. And everywhere else is just old COTA, and so it's just all about throttle management. But no track limits is a big W.
Well,
I feel like I would have had like a 40 X's if we had track limits.
Well, despite only having track limits in one spot, we still had about four or five guys who ran into that problem and had to come down and serve drive-throughs from the S's. But yeah, overall,
I was talking to Kyle about that.
Yeah. It was a fantastic layout. That definitely was a big improvement, modifying it to have those extended the exit runoffs to be able to use. We saw a couple passes in there on the outside coming to the last corner, just being able to use that big wide runoff there. You know, some guys were able to stay to the outside or even complete passes from the outside of that corner just by having that runoff. You know, you could pinch the guy down on the inside and deny him the exit, and you just have all that runoff in the world to use to be able to put the power down. And we saw a couple interesting passes that never would have happened without the different track rule change there. So that was definitely a welcome change, and I think it definitely contributed to some of the racing we saw go on today, especially between we saw the 7 and the 90. If you go back and watch the broadcast, they were scrapping so hard, both of them just completely sideways through every corner. It was a dogfight. So there was entertainment despite you putting half a minute on the field, but so thanks to Carlos and Dalton for putting on the show for us back there. But yeah,
They gave me a fucking moment. At one point, I was lapping them, and I was like, I don't know what's gonna happen. But luckily, Dalton was like, "I'll let you have it," and I was like, "Thank God."
Yeah.
At that point, if I had a 4X, I would have had done a drive-through. So I was very happy that I didn't have to deal with that.
Yeah, it was close for everybody. Even the leaders were not. We're cutting it pretty close on incidents, which I didn't expect. But hey, there it is. But yeah, congrats on 4 in a row, man. That's the first time we've seen that in any of these seasons, and that dominated of a fashion. You know, I think we saw 4 wins out of Alex in the whole season last season. But to just start off 1, 2, 3, 4 on 4 completely different racetrack styles. We mentioned you had a super speedway, a short track, like, you know, Martinsville-ish short track, and an intermediate last week at Chicagoland, and then here on a road course, you have pretty much proven that you can do it absolutely anywhere. So congrats on the I don't even know what to call it. You know, we had the 3-peat last week. I don't even know what you call a 4 in a race, you know, 4 in a row race thing, because it doesn't happen very often.
I was thinking like old Halo days, get a quad feed.
There you go.
Like Call of Duty. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, some of us who've been around since the Halo 2, Halo 3 days will understand that one. But yeah, 4 in a row, that's unprecedented. You are the first person to do that in the Thursday Night Nitro history, so congrats on that achievement. And of course, just being the race winner tonight and not really putting a foot out of line anywhere and keeping the thing tidy, and you know, doing what you had to do, not getting any penalties for those incidents, keeping the thing clean and out of trouble. You lapped half the field, so you made it by everybody without issue too. So kudos to be able to navigate traffic, because I know it was sketchy on a couple occasions. We'd be watching a battle, then sure enough, here you come right behind them, and it's, you know, you never know. Like you said, you never know what's going to happen when they get to battling, and then you're stuck there as the leader. But
Yeah, it was fun. I like huge thanks to everybody at the league. You know, Justin being live race control is huge, and like I don't have that in the other league that I run, so I'm just very thankful that I can be a part of a league like this, and like it's insane to win 4 in a row. Like it's I never thought I'd make it this far, and you know I could go for 5, but I was a little bit more known, you know. I kind of got lucky with the tracks that we got chosen. Like Chicagoland, everyone used the race, but we haven't raced it in an official in a while, and so I kind of had a leg up there because I've raced it in other leagues, and it's just wild to think about, man. Winning 4 races in a pretty competitive fixed league is really cool.
well, congrats on that achievement, and I'm sure more to come. And we'll let you keep going with your celebratory vanilla wafers and and get to it. But yeah, if there's anyone, I mean, you already kind of did, but anyone else you'd like to shout out? I know you got some sponsors on the car. I'm sure you'd love to mention before we wrap up.
Yeah, once again, huge thanks to you, Adam, and everyone at BoomTube for putting on a broadcast every week. I still think it's really cool that we have that resource in iRacing, and it really, you know, sinks into realism for us. So we really do appreciate it, and we thank Devin Maines Designs and Devin Maines for, you know, always being available to get some really good paint schemes and trading paints. It's always really cool to have that, and then also Déjà Revél. Huge thanks to them for partnering with us and giving us some sponsors to have. That's also really freaking cool. And also my own sponsors, Outlier Speed Co. And you always get some really fast oval and Mazda MX-5 setups at Outlier Speed Company, and those guys are really a tight knit group. And even our test sessions, the setup builders listen and they teach, and that's all I could ask for. And also JCTV and B-Blaze Vintage, those two guys have been friends with me since I started iRacing, so I always like repping their little companies and their small businesses as well. But yeah, I think that's about it. But all I have to say is go Lions. Let's beat the Bengals on Sunday.
Agree with you there. So that's been Bennett Allen, your winner of 4 in a row, the first 4 races of the fall 2025 season. From sitting out last season to absolutely dominating the first quarter of this season. It's been quite the spectacle to watch, and we'll see you next week. The short track in the cornfields of Iowa. So good luck next week. We'll see if this success continues.
Go for 5, baby.
All right. Congrats to Bennett. That's been our interview section for tonight. Driver number 15 gets it done 4 in a row at Circuit of the Americas. As we mentioned, to the cornfields of Iowa, the short track out in the heartland of America is where we will be next week, right back here on the Boom Tube. Same time, same place. Of course, these broadcasts brought to you by Déjà Revél Photography, voted Pennsylvania's best. Located in York, Pennsylvania. Go ahead and hit up DéjaRevél.com. Cool new website, brand new design, ready there for any of your boudoir photography needs. Check that out. A lot of talent there. And of course, while we're mentioning talented artists, we can't forget Devin Main's Designs, designer of a lot of paint schemes throughout this field that you see on broadcast every week. If you'd like a paint for your iRacing race car, go ahead and mention code TNN when you hit Devin up for one of those designs for 20% off. And of course, some of those proceeds with that code will go toward the championship pot at the end of the year. So thanks to Devin for coming on board. And of course, Silver Maple Designs with Devin Gentry, driver of the number 12 car, bringing on those die-cast giveaway at the end of the season and a couple races throughout the season. Very generous contribution by him and the company. So thanks so much to our sponsors and our partners, and thanks so much for the drivers for showing up every week and putting on a show for us. And thank you out there in the audience for tuning in every week. If you'd like to more easily see these streams when they go live, go ahead and hit that subscribe button below the broadcast and hit that notification bell if you want to get a notification to your phone or your computer when we go live. And that would be awesome. And go ahead and hit the like button on this stream. That gets it out to more people and gets it recommended by YouTube to more people, so more eyes can watch your favorite driver. And yeah, until next time, I've been Adam LeVox here for the Boom Tube and Thursday Night Nitro, and I will see everybody next week as we take on America's Heartland in Iowa.